small steps towards your goal, and you will achieve it.
All right, Omar,
Yes,
I think one of the things that many of us might fail when it comes to making New Year's resolution is being practical. Help us become practical, because, for instance, I might, maybe today I'm jobless, and I'm thinking in 2019 I want to drive a Porsche. That might not be practical even if I got a job, because maybe there are other needs, maybe there are debts I need to pay off. But how do I come up with practical resolutions for the year, new year?
Yeah, of course, I had to quote a philosopher, Socrates, and Socrates says that an exam in life is not worth living. So I think as we make our New Year resolutions, there's the bit of reality. And of course, you find a number of us, most of after school, we live in fantasies. Of course, you've seen a Range Rover sport car on your way. And of course, you want to say that, well, my New Year resolution, I have to drive this Range Rover sport car. But of course, I had to use a model that, of course, most of us are familiar with, the SMART model. And of course, you know that as we make up New Year resolutions, like one, we must be very specific. So we must have very specific objectives. And then, of course, the M stands for, our objective must be measurable. Then the A stand for attainable, and then R stand for realistic, and finally time-bound. And of course, you find that as you make new resolutions, a number of us are never realistic. Of course, you find that you may not have 100,000 bob in your account, and of course, you want to drive your Range Rover Sport Car or a Prado. So maybe I want to encourage us. Of course, sometimes when you talk about reality, sometimes is a bit painful for a number of us. Then, of course, as you make this new resolution, there are also a number of factors you have to consider. Your nature, and of course, your nurture. So there are so many factors that come into play. And of course, sometimes as you make these resolutions, also your background also comes to play. So that at the end of the day, you also make realistic goals that you're able to achieve. And again, as our brother has mentioned about taking stock, but of course, he comes from the autonomy sector, where they take a lot of stock in terms of money matters. But of course, even as you make these resolutions, you must take stock. Then it is 2018 is coming to a close. But then the year that is 2018. How much have I achieved? What percentage of the decisions that I made that I've achieved? But of course, like you talk about, there's a lot to say with weight loss or weight gain. You know, there are some will go for the slim possible. Right. But of course, there are others who will want to add weight. So maybe apart from this also, it also depends that the dynamism that we also consider, because again, we come from different sectors. My background is education. His background is money matters. Maybe Hope will tell us more about finances. Yes. So that we don't get the financial meltdown. So in this case, it depends with the sector. That now, as maybe an educator, and most as a writer, as I make my New Year resolution for 2019, what do I want to achieve? I remember when I made one of my resolutions that I really wanted to do a lot of writing in 2018. But of course, I've attained that to some extent. But then what are some of the obstacles which have made me not to attain the 8% of the decision that I'd made? So in this case, you also must live in introspection and retrospection. So introspection, that is now the current situation. Then in retrospect, you also have to look back into the year that was. And then what are some of the flip up that you had? Because again, all of us sometimes make mistake. And again, sometimes you find that some of us are not real. That you make mistake, and of course, we want to pass the buck. So that's the worst that face most of us. Okay. That I've made this mistake, maybe I work in an institution, then I have to pass the buck, maybe to the administration. So in this case, if you can own up the buck and say that these are made mistake, then how do I come out of this situation that I'm currently in?
All right, Waithaka, you are in the financial sector, and of course, that also is a huge part of what people make as their New Year's resolutions. Yeah. How do we come up with practical New Year's financial resolutions without limiting ourselves? And where I'm going with this is there are times we limit ourselves because I could look at my resources right now and think that there's some things which are completely unachievable. But that would be lack of vision. Correct. But then again, you can go to the other extreme where you again become too vision and I mean until it's ridiculous. Yes. I mean, it's not achievable. But how do I make sure that I stretch myself, but at the same time, I'm realistic?
Get a coach. That's what we do. And we've seen it often. Same thing, I love that we started with the whole weight loss thing. The issue that many of us have is we don't have a coach. Can I talk to the men, because we're just men here now. Let me talk to us guys, let me tell you about men. We have a problem. We understand the fundamentals for sports, for instance, and we say, why is it that the wonderful European soccer teams, the rugby teams that we watch are so good at what they do? Because they have excellent coaches and they get the fundamentals right. And many times we think that it's something special that these coaches bring. No, they just bring order. Those guys are able to pass the ball from here to there with such accuracy, with such control at the right time, at the right place, that they're able to win the game. When you have a coach in your life, whether it's for weight loss, or whether it's for your finances, which is what we do at Centonomy, as coaches, we're able to help you to organize so that you get the fundamentals right. Here's the thing. We had a guy in our class in this year, 2018. He came into the class, we told him, first of all, just same thing I told you, fundamentals, know where your money is going. After 1 week, he came and told me, Waithaka, what is happening in this place? He did a calculation based on 1 week of tracking his expenses. He found he's spending close to 80,000 shillings in the pub, and he's not an alcoholic in a month. He had never taken stock. You see, when you have a high income, we think these problems are only for people with low income.
Correct.
High income, but he had never seen, and he was not investing 80,000 shillings a month. You see, that's the imbalance that was there. He's spending 80,000 shillings in the pub, not that he can't or that that's necessarily the worst thing in the world to do, but that he was not aware of it and making a choice. And so as a coach, we're able to, in the coaching program, we're able to show him and say, look, is this a decision that you had made, or did you kind of fall into this default position? And at the point at which he was able to see it, then he said, now I can make a decision. Not that he doesn't go to the pub anymore,